We begin chapter 6 today. In the previous chapter, we spoke about our connection of the divine soul. We gave a metaphor of a rope. This rope is going to play a lot of metaphors for us, for metaphors. There's the top of the rope and the bottom. They're connected until you disconnect it and sever it. How they're connected? Well, the top of the rope is my soul, the way it's rooted in my source, in the divine, a part of God. And then there is the way it comes down in my body, down here. So it's got to make its way all the way down. How does it make its way down? Well, two elements. The breath of God that he blows and breathes it into the body as he did with Adam. So he does that with our soul. That's the breath, the blowing is a metaphor of understanding that's from the depth of God, the innermost aspect of God, right? And then that's put into our body. That corresponds to the name of God, Shem Havaya, Yud and a He and a Vav and a He. And as we explained at great length in the fourth chapter, what that corresponds in the divine order of things and what that corresponds in the powers of our soul. And we have that piece, that part of God within us. And we're connected by that rope. The problem with that rope is that it can be cut, it can be severed. What could sever the connection? How could it be that God's breath doesn't get somewhere? God is everywhere. God, nothing can prevent God from anything. When God speaks, not even an obstacle can, there can't be an obstacle in the way of God's speech, because just as I'm speaking now and I have the Tanya journal as an obstacle, it doesn't serve as an obstacle because it gets right through, right? The voice is heard. God creates everything with his word, articulated word. And it is what is the life force of everything, except the divine soul. It comes from the inner aspect of the divine speech, which is the breath, blowing, the metaphor. And when you do blow, there is an obstacle in front, then, well, the breath doesn't get to where it needs to go. So what could be created as an obstacle, as we explained, that can be only us doing something that is preventing the will of God to desire to blow into us the breath of life. And that is, we do something against the will of God. That's called a sin, right? Going against the will of God. God has 613 commandments, 365 prohibitions. So when we go against them, we can then sever the cord. We can sever the rope that is connecting us, and we don't get the vital force. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to explain this further. That's what we explained yesterday in very brief. This idea of being disconnected, that you can actually have what's called chorus. The Torah speaks about this, or misa b'dei shamayim. Chorus meaning excision, being cut off from God, meaning the life force of God, because everything is only but the life force of God, but to be cut off from it, and that you would die at an early age before 50, or from the hands of heaven, by the court of heaven, you would die before the age of 60. So that's the idea of, again, the cord being severed, right? Now, the Alter Rebbe says that only occurred, this idea, when the presence of God dwelt amongst the Jewish people in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Holy Temple, right? What does that mean? It means then God was palpable in the physical reality of this world, in the Holy Temple, and specifically in the Holy of Holies. And hence, what came then to the Jew was vitality direct from God's holiness, his inner desire direct from God's name, Shem Havaya. And what does that mean? It means the body itself, its vitality, was only by way of the divine soul, which the divine soul, again, enclosed in it is God's name. That's what gives it life. So it was only from the innermost source of life that did the body get vitality, right? By way of, again, the tetragrammaton, God's name. And it was the default then was getting life from Kedusha, holiness, from the light of God, direct. And therefore, if you went against that force of vitality that was direct from God, from, again, God's name as it's vested in our divine soul, so the divine soul directly gave the life force to the body to give us physical life in that direct manner. So if you went against that life force, that is, again, God's name, as we had indicated in the Yud, the thorn on top of the Yud is a reference or corresponds to the divine will. So there was the divine will that is transcendent of the name of God. The divine will, there's no will then to bring the life force and direct it from God's name directly to the body and give it living life, physical life. And therefore, what happened? That means you weren't getting life. That means you got cut off. Got cut off. It didn't mean you died instantaneously. It means, without getting into the Kabbalistic details, but it means that you would die at an early age. But that's only then. But then what happened? Then the divine presence of God, the Shechinah, went into exile. It fell from its state, right? It fell from there. And how did it go into exile? It went through the sins of the Jewish people. And as the verse says in Isaiah, through your sins, your mother banished. Your mother means the divine presence, the Shechinah. Mother of the children, meaning the Jewish people, which is the level of malchus of Atzilus, which is the source of all of our souls, the Jewish souls. So in that, what does that mean corresponding to God's name? This is God's name. The Hey is the Shechinah, the divine presence. It went into exile, meaning it fell off God's name, so to speak. It went and got now enclosed in Klippa. The 10 divine attributes of the Shechinah, embodied by the Shechinah, are now enclosed in nogah. Nogah means a shell that has an admixture of good and evil in it. There's some goodness, but the shell covers over. In the name Havaya, God's name, it is a revelation of the Ein Sof, of the limitlessness of God through this name. But now, the latter Hey of God's name, which is Malchus of Atzilus, which is sovereignty, which is Shechinah, the divine presence, not present anymore. It's in exile. It is in Klippa, right? In every living physical being, even all of vegetation, as it says, there's no blade of grass below that doesn't have a spirit, above that gives it the power to grow. That's Klippa. So, so now what happens as a result of this sinful and deliberate transgressions of the Jewish people receive their vitality from its body and animal soul, just as all other living creatures do. In other words, the default before this point in the times of the Holy Temple, the default form of vitality was from God's name, from holiness, direct from God. After that, the destruction of the Holy Temple, there's no longer the presence of God. It's gone into exile. God himself, the divine presence of God, is in exile as a result of our sins, meaning it's in klipa. It's in this shell. And now it's that shell called nogah, which is a translucent shell that has a mixture of good and bad in it, is the vital force of our body, just like the animal's body, right? Like other living creatures. And that's what the scripture says, that we're likened and similar to a beast. Well, how are we likened and similar to a beast? So in this mystical sense means just like the beast gets um, its vitality, as everything only gets its vitality and its existence from God, but it's getting it by way of klipa. Klipa's nogah. So are we now. The default is no longer God's presence, God's name, Shem Havaya. The default now is nogah. That's what's happening. And as a result, now the choice we have is whether to derive the nurture from Sitra Achra, from the negative side. See, the admixture of good and evil, of klipas nogah, gives me now the choice of either I'm going to get even a further debased form of klipa, right, which is completely removed from God, right? This has a mixture of good and bad in it, right? And or I can choose God's holiness. Where am I going to get the flow of vitality? The choice is now from being that the default is klipas nogah. So the choice I have is between holiness to get it, or from Sitra Achra, from complete evil. Let me explain that to make sure we have a clarity. So back in the Holy Temple, the divine presence, the natural instinct was connectivity to God. And therefore, the natural form of vitality came in a connected manner from God's Shem Havaya that was enclosed in the divine soul, and the divine soul was so translucent, so apparent, that it gave vitality to the body, so to speak, direct. When you went against that, the default of holiness, you went against the will of God, which is where that holiness comes from ultimately. So you cut yourself off. Period. Today, we don't have the default in that manner. The default has come from klipas nogah, meaning that my default reaction, my default being, is not a sense of connection. Disconnect. That's what exile means. The nature of our current condition, the human condition, the world's condition, is the default of klipas nogah. That there's, some good, but mostly we're driven by negativity. Um, and therefore, our first response to something is something negative in the sense that that it's self-serving, self-directed, of the animal soul. But in there, I have the choice. Where's the choice? Do I upgrade or downgrade? Do I upgrade that I can get my vitality direct from Shem Havaya, from God's holiness. In other words, it's not the apparent thing that I would do. It's not the default. What I would have is, connectivity. I have to choose the connectivity. That's what's happening today. I have to, or the disconnect is what I have to choose. So further, let's explain. Everything is about God. Everything is about God's vitality. There's nothing but that. God is the source of all life. So there is getting from God's holiness, klipas nogah, or complete negativity, Sitra Achra, the other side, which is three completely unholy forms of klipa that God is, that's a true evil act. The in-between is a mixture, which allows us then that the choice to choose the good there or the negativity in the vital force. So, for example, when I raise my hand to give tzedakah or to help somebody, the vital force I'm getting that moment from God is from Kedusha, from holiness, from his inner desire, because that's his inner desire, is the act of a mitzvah. If I raise my hand, God forbid, to hurt somebody, right, not appropriately, then I'm getting from Sitra Achra, from the other side, from the complete negativity that has completely concealed the presence of God. And then if my hand is just sitting there, doing nothing, not bad, not good, it's getting vitality right now, klipas nogah, the admixture. Okay, so that's the lesson. So what's the take home is my take on this, at least. Maybe perhaps I've said it already, but maybe to reiterate it. In every moment of our lives, and this goes back to actually the first part of Tanya, we learned this at great length, but every moment of our lives, we have a choice. Even in a dark world, even when we find ourselves in a dark moment, we have a choice. And this is really important. Even when you find yourself really in a bad place, you're really just down and out. Be mizbeinen. Think for a few moments and think just simply. And you can turn on a dime literally, and even less than a dime. Where am I getting my vitality now from? Sitra Achra, negative side. I'm sad, down and out, thinking negative thoughts, whatever. Down on myself, down on others, whatever it is. You get the picture. Just think for a moment that in any given moment, you have a choice where you want to get your vitality from. Do you want to get it from there? Now, the default is, not holiness, so we got to make the effort. In times, the Holy Temple, the default was holiness. You had to really make an effort to go against holiness, and that's why you would get cut off back then. Default is not holiness. Klipas nogah, the admixture of good and evil. But, so I got a choice. I could just choose right now to get from God's Kedusha, from his holiness, from the holiness of my soul. I could do that if I want to. I have to have the desire for that. But if I have the desire for that, I can turn on a dime. I can just change everything up instantaneously. Because I don't want to be disconnected. I don't want in that moment to be where I'm at. I want to be connected, Shem Havaya, to God's name, to the direct force of God that is from his innermost being, that's what I want to be connected to, period. That's very powerful that we can do that. We can do that also in human relations. Right? How can you do that in human relationships? You're down on the relationship, whatever, something happened. Whether you did, the other person did. You could turn it on a dime. Because you want the holiness of the relationship. You want the goodness of the relationship. That's what you want. So just, you want that? Connect to it. You can connect to the holiness of the person, the goodness of the person. That's a choice. You want to see negativity? You could see negativity, and then you're just going to get negativity. Your vitality will be just negativity. If you want the connection, you'll see the goodness. You'll see the goodness. You want something? Then you don't want the connection. You want something from this person. You're not interested in the connection. You're interested in the things you get from this person. And that's not holiness. That's not holiness. You want the divine connection to God, God's goodness, period. Goodness, not that he's throwing me candies. That's not what we mean by goodness. You just want to be attached, connected to him, because it's God. Same thing with my spouse. Same thing with my children, or my fellow Jew, as a matter of fact. I just want to be connected, because we are inherently connected, as spouses are, children, fellow Jews are. So you just want the connection. So you're not seeking something. You're seeking no thing, nothing. Just that holy connection. I know that's tough, but that's holy. That's not holy. It's good. It's really good. Why do I seek something? Who's seeking something? In other words, I'm seeking something from God. I want something from him. So I don't want him. I want what I can get from him. God, you give me health. God, you give me wealth. God, you give me, everything. I want those things. You, I could do without, but what I can get from you, I want. I have to come on to you, so no choice, right? Well, we can be the same way with our spouse. From you, I need comfort. I need, to feel good. I need to be loved. But that's what I need: love from you. I need comfort from you. I need you to, I don't need you. Just need the things I can get from you. That's not connection. Here we're talking about can have a choice to downgrade or upgrade from klipas nogah, which is a mixture of good and bad. So we can choose the negativity. Negativity means just self-directed. Holiness means I want the attachment to have vitality, connection. Vitality here in the form of meaning connection to God himself. Not because this will get me a better life. It will. But that's not why. Because then it's not about the connection that I want with God. then it's not God that I want to connect. Again, it's the things I want to get from God. I hope that's clear. It's a game changer in all our relationships, everything about our lives. Um, Now we can have questions and answers, comments, Tanya journaling. I'm telling you, you journal this today and work on it. It's going to change your life. Totally. Totally going to change your life. A reminder, as David always reminds everybody, please put 2 question marks before you ask your question, because that's the only way I'm going to look at it. And if it's not, then you'll have to excuse me. Eugenia asks, at the time of the temple, the default source of vitality was godliness. How come there was still hatred and infighting amongst Jewish people? God didn't take away our freedom of choice. Just the freedom of choice was on a different plane. So we still have freedom of choice. You know, we still have an animal soul, right? It is self-directed. It's just everything's on a different playing field, a higher playing field. But then simple little things become magnified because you're on a higher playing field. Like, you know, the same act that a child does versus an adult, the adult is much more responsible than the child, right? So, yeah, excellent question, by the way, Eugenia. Thank you. The only question with 2 question marks before so far. By the way, I know now that this is real. I know now that we should engage in. Matt, is the Shechinah in exile until the 3rd temple is constructed? Yes. The divine presence of God, the Shechinah, the Hay, the latter Hay in God's name, which is Malchus, remember. Sovereignty, royalty, is in exile, the divine presence. And we're going to get more into that. We're just starting on it. We're going to get much more into this, and we'll get greater clarity as we go on. I know now that. Okay. Do we have any questions on Clubhouse? Reggie, Jenny, Liana, Ricky, Hannah, Jeffrey, Roman, Jennifer, Mark.
All right, I'll bite. I have a question.
All right, Jeff.
So,
yes.
this the clothed holiness in exile. Um, is this a continuous? You mentioned the Sitra Achra,
Right.
but I guess what I'm asking is that separate from the admixture of the admixture that you were talking about? Is it part of it? Is it the lowest part of it, or is that like a whole different level? And that may be the simplest question because I guess my next question is.
So let me respond to this so there's clarity here. So klipa means a shell. There's 2 gradations. Klipa's nogah means translucent, meaning there's good and bad in there. And depending on, in the physical world, it's more negativity and less positive. And therefore, that's why the choice here is struggle. And that's why evil people succeed, because the default is more negative than positive. In the spiritual worlds, as you go up worlds, it becomes more, the goodness is more translucent, more available, and the negativity is less. But in this world, that's the way it is. Um, and then the choice becomes higher or lower. Higher means holiness, taking the good from there, and the lower means that you've debased from even that admixture of good and evil, klipas nogah, and you've chosen complete Sitra Achra, complete negative side. Does that clarify?
Okay, so it's like the complete negative side.
Right,
okay.
Complete negative side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was going to ask a more, I guess, general question of how do you know when you think you're choosing the right thing because it feels like you're doing the right thing for the higher good, but for whatever reason, it turns out in retrospect that it wasn't. I don't think they're going to have an answer for that, but that certainly happens to people all the time.
Totally, and we're a work in progress. So we learn from there that um, part of it is, of course, what your motivation is. What is your motivation, your intent, that you want to do what God needs of you. We can fool ourselves with that nonetheless. But if we train ourselves to try to think that way, rather than, what's in it for me? The natural default is, what's in it for me? How's this good for me? That's the natural default, right? Now, the problem with that is, of course, then we might do good, but we're not motivated by that. We're just motivated about the benefit for us. If we're motivated about what I'm needed for, what does God need me for? And I'm try to be objective about that in not my heart to begin with, but in my mind, to try to, like, you know, deal with in my mind properly. And you're right, we're going to make mistakes there, and sometimes afterwards we'll realize that we made something, we were faulty. But if we train ourselves that way, you know, we will see the improvement with time, no question about it, that we are more often making the right decision than the wrong decision. Hope that clarifies.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. Denise, Davida, how will the Shechinah reveal itself in the world to come? I'm going to be there with you to find out. Let it be today. How will it reveal itself? It will reveal itself that it'll be very clear to us God's presence in the world. Not just in the Holy of Holies, but in the world. It'll be very clear to us. But we're going to have to wait for that. Okay, but we're all eagerly anticipating. Anna, where is Anna's question? I thought I did see it, but now I don't. Is there 2 question marks before it? Yeah, I don't see it. I'm sorry, Anna. Can you put the question in again? My apologies. For some reason, I can't see it. Or Davida, if you could put it in again. Any other questions? Any other comments? Go ahead, Batya.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Rabbi.
Good morning.
Morning. I just wanted to make a comment in regards to, that we have a choice in every given moment with how to decide on how to respond to a certain situation. And I just want to say that sometimes it takes it's very uncomfortable. We can make, or I can just speak for myself, I've made the decision to respond in a way that is for the greater good, and I know it's coming from the better place, but internally, sometimes, even when I'm making that right decision, it doesn't feel good. That's all.
Okay.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Um, it doesn't feel good because we're hurting somebody. Um, what is it that doesn't feel good?
What doesn't feel good is the animal soul isn't receiving its vitality.
I'm not. What do you mean? You mean it's not?
Meaning
Oh,
it's
it's
not.
not receiving its due. You mean it's not getting what it wants?
Exactly.
Ah. Right. You're saying so. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. In other words, you're forcing yourself to do the right thing, although you have misgivings about it because there's a part of me that isn't buying into this. Right? My animal soul's not
Yes.
buying into this.
Yes.
That okay, that's good. You're right. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. That's a very honest and very vulnerable statement to make, which is very true. There are times that that's going to happen. Um, then that then becomes on how we have to work on ourselves to come to recognize that I'm actually not losing out. I'm only gaining.
That was the better part of it, because seeing the end result is what was desired in the beginning. It's just going through the motions internally in the process.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Very good. Um, okay, Ricky, give me just one moment. Thank you, but that was very nice. That was very good. Excellent. Let, okay, we have Anna's question. How do we quiet your animal soul to let your holy soul get connected to the Creator? Only through holy people can we do that, and the rest of us can only strive. Um, very, very good question. Thank you, Jane, for putting that. Anna's. Um, so yeah, so it kind of connects with Bach's question and statement that we have we have a higher part of us and the lower part of us. The higher part of us wants to strive to transcend ourselves, to be beyond ourselves, which is fulfillment of purpose. That purpose is something beyond me because it's God's purpose that He brought me here into this world. So it's actually beyond me. And then there is me, myself, and um, so the ultimate is that, and to answer you about you also, the ultimate is not that we just transcend ourselves and leave our animal soul kind of left salivating, but we actually bring it along. That's really the best thing. In other words, that we can talk to its language, and its language is of it wants comfort, it wants self-fulfillment. So if you can talk to your animal soul and let it know that doing this is your fulfillment, Mr. Animal Soul. Doing this is really something you are going to gain tremendously materially and spiritually, not just spiritually, and that's actually very important, not just spiritually, but materially also you're going to gain. And just to share with you personally, um, you know, um, and something I'm toying with that I'm going to maybe bring out at another point, but the Rebbe is very much, the one thing that he instituted that we should do on a daily basis is the learning of Rambam, Maimonides' teachings, and I do it every day. I was doing one chapter, and the Rebbe really wanted we should do 3 chapters, which would give us the opportunity to learn the entire Torah in 1 year, or even less than a year, by learning 3 chapters a day. That's a real commitment, especially if you're learning it. Uh, it can take 40 minutes for me at least, to more than an hour. Um, and if you have a busy schedule, that's really um, and So, my higher self, my godly self, of course, you got to do it and so on. But my animal soul tells you, you know what, you're going to lose on so many other important things, that you got to do. No, I talked to my animal soul and said, you know what, the Rebbe said that there's so much material benefit that you're going to have as a result. So many people that Rebbe answered, for example, to shluchim were having financial difficulties, or other people had health difficulties. Well, learn Rambam. Learn Rambam. 3 chapters even, and their challenges and difficulties went away. I know from many people such stories. Now, forget into going into the whole how could that be and whatever, but this is, in other words, when I speak to my animal soul and tell me, you know what, I'm going to devote myself to doing this, adding more on my plate, more time and more energy, it's going to be beneficial. I won't have to run after other things. Those things will run after me. I told my animal soul. You know what? So far, so good. my, my point is that we need to engage our negative side and try to talk to it too in the terms that it understands. It's selfishness, but selfishness doesn't mean that it's bad. Selfishness can mean that that it's very beneficial, good things that come from holy activity. Right? Ricky, please share with us.
Thank you, Rabbi. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's such a confusing concept for me, this, because I find that it's so much easier and so much more, almost it feels more right to do things, to do holier, to do the right thing with when my heart is in it. But it's probably a lifetime of work to bring your head and your heart together, because sometimes they do want completely different things. So, for example, when I started keeping Shabbat, I did it because in my head I knew it was the right thing to do and I wanted to do it, but it was still so difficult and it didn't feel good, not right away at least. And so I guess my question is, do you do things anyway and wait for your heart to follow, or do you wait until you're feeling happy about what you're doing and then start doing it?
Excellent question. Excellent, and it's a very real one. So, um, something like keeping Shabbat or other, fundamental mitzvahs, if we wait for our heart to be involved and completely engaged, so first of all, who knows when that's going to happen? And secondly, if it's based on that, so then, today my heart's into it, and tomorrow, who knows where my heart will be? Um, and so your heart is really not a place of real commitment. Your heart is a commitment to your feelings. That's what it's committed to. So, feelings um, do change. So that's our real commitment. So, I'll give the example here for the Rambam for me is, it's real commitment. Is it coming from my heart? It's coming from the idea that I know that this is the right thing and this is something that is, something I got to do. 3 chapters is going to be really a challenge, and I'm just, going to commit myself, period. And then I brought my heart along because I knew that it was the right thing. So I know I have to bring my heart along with it. So I don't leave my heart out because you're right, Ricky. If your heart's not into it, then it's going to be difficult. And so you got to bring your heart along. But it doesn't start with the heart. It starts with a commitment. It starts with something in our minds that we know it's the right thing, and therefore we just make, like in this, so to speak, an absolute choice, right? An absolute choice. And then because you do that, so now you engage your heart. Our problem is that we live in a world today we don't want to, where it's so, I don't know what the word is, so mixed up. So mixed up. nothing absolute. There's no absolute God. There's no absolute truth of Torah. There's no absolute anything, and just absolutely what I want. you know, and that's the problem. If there was something absolute, so then we absolutely commit ourselves. And if it's and then we absolutely commit ourselves, it doesn't mean again that we leave everything else behind. No, we got to talk to that part in me that to it it's not absolute. And that is my heart, my which is the place of the animal soul, and then our self-directed nature. So that's what I would suggest is the healthiest way and the best way to go about it. Does that resonate with you, Ricky?
Yes, I mean, still difficult, but that's very clear. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'm not suggesting that it's not difficult, right? But all good things are difficult. All good things that are valuable, you know, um, getting married and staying married, it's difficult. Raising a family, it's difficult. Are there moments of great joy? Yeah, but it's anybody who says that marriage is just on easy street means whatever. No, raising children is not. It's difficult, but those are beautiful thing, the most beautiful things that we can have. So yeah, it's work. It's work. That's for sure.
I also wanted to mention for those who are interested that there's a different rabbi that hosts a Rambam shir on this app every day at 11 o'clock. So if somebody's interested.
Thank you. Yes, very good. Anna, about Rambam, I'm going to come up shortly with something about Rambam, and I'll keep you posted. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's what my goal is to do something with Rambam. Michael, decision and turn the light to be positive arrives. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, folks. Great conversation. Um, Beautiful, and to be continued. God willing. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad, the Zichr and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, folks.